Istanbul's Ataturk International Airport reopens hours after a coordinated terror attack leaves dozens dead. Michelle Obama in Morocco. The U.S. First Lady and her daughters promote education for women and girls. And as Buenos Aires unveils a statue of football great Lionel Messi, Argentina clamors for the soccer legend to have a change of heart. Africa 54 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Lina Ahmoudou. This is Africa 54. Vincent Makori is off today. Istanbul's Ataturk International Airport has fully reopened after a suicide bombing and shooting attack killed 41 people and injured more than 200 late Tuesday. Turkish Airlines says it has resumed all flight operations, including flights between the United States and Istanbul. Prime Minister Binali Yildirim says the three suicide bombers arrived by taxi at the busy airport and opened fire with automatic weapons, shooting randomly at bystanders before detonating explosives as police closed in. Yildirim says early evidence points to an attack by Islamic State extremists. Islamic State has been blamed for two suicide bombings earlier this year, targeting foreign tourists in Istanbul. In the past year, Ankara and Istanbul have seen scores of people killed in bombings carried out by Islamic State and Kurdish rebels.
Two bombs exploded, gunshots a lot, and people actually lay down, and there was a panic, of course. Maybe after a few minutes, they show us a way to escape. So we have escaped. And we stayed in the basement for about an hour time. And now, I just don't know how many people are dead and injured and so on. I have no idea. But the picture is pretty bad.
U.S. President Barack Obama on Wednesday telephoned his condolences to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan over the airport attack. Mr. Obama also offered U.S. support and assistance in the investigation. Now joining us live with the latest information on the phone from Istanbul, Turkey, is reporter Nuria Tayson. Good evening, Nuria.
Good evening.
What is the latest in terms of the investigation?
Well, actually, no terrorist group has claimed responsibility for this attack, even though the government is saying that it's attributing this attack to ISIL, to Daesh, because the modus operandi is pointing to this terrorist group that has been committing other attacks previously during this year in the country. The reason, for example, as you were explaining previously, that they were shooting randomly and also attacking a soft target with civil people and not something related to the government is something that is giving some information to the government to think that it could be Daesh, the Islamic State, who is behind this attack.
So, Nuria, you were able to go to the airport. And can you tell us what is happening now? The airport reopened its operation, which seems to be pretty much of a quick turnaround. Tell us what is happening.
Okay, it's not. This is the third most crowded airport in Europe, and around 60 million people passed through this airport last year, only in 2015. But today is not that crowded. People is trying to have like a normal day to walk around normally, but it's almost impossible. I mean, you cannot avoid to stop and look and see how the glasses are broken, how the gunshots are in the crystal, in the doors, or how the ceiling has fallen down completely in some parts of the terminal. So it's really, they are making like really huge efforts to go back to normality, but it's impossible to do so because really for the people it's a shock. They are really in shock. People is taking pictures, people is praying, people is just, some of them are about to cry when they think or when they realize what happened only a few hours ago in this airport. So
this latest attack is one of a series of attacks that have been happening in Turkey since 2015 specifically. Can you tell us how this is impacting the country?
it is having a big impact. First of all, in one of the most important incomes for the country, which is tourism. They are having very good revenues from tourism last year, and it's been almost 6 months, almost a year actually, that they are receiving less and less, little by little, less tourists. So people is not going anymore to places where they used to go. For example, the Turkish coast is almost empty. There are 80% of their capacity these days. They don't have customers. And also, in the other side, it's also affecting politics. For example, it has a very important impact in how Turkey is now dealing with the conflict in Syria, and also the internal politics, because it's not only the Islamic State who is committing this kind of attempt, this kind of attack.
Okay, Nuria, we have to leave it there, unfortunately. Thank you so much for joining us with the latest report. Okay. And reporter Nuria Tesan joining us live via phone from Istanbul, Turkey. Now, young Muslims in the United States are concerned about widespread anti-Muslim rhetorics and call to ban other Muslims from entering the United States. In a VOA-sponsored panel in Washington Tuesday, 4 young Muslims spoke of the challenges they face living in America. Here is VOA's Latika Hoke.
An estimated 3.3 million Muslims live in the United States, about 1% of the total population. That number is expected to double in the next 3 to 4 decades, and by the year 2040, Muslims are projected to become the second largest religious group in the United States. Young Muslims point out that they are not a homogeneous group. St. Louis resident Oya Rose Aktas says her mother is an American Christian and her father is a Turkish Muslim.
Oftentimes people try to split it into moderate Muslims and conservative Muslims, but there's a lot of diversity past that. And I think that that's one of the nuances that gets lost in discussions about Islam in the U.S.
Sometimes young Muslims have more than one identity that defines them.
It definitely is a struggle, not only being a Muslim, not only being a Muslim American, being Somali, being black, being young. There's a lot of identities that you have to reconcile. It's not easy, but luckily I was born into it, and this has been a lifelong process for me. Whereas when you immigrate, like my parents, for example, you have to shift and learn to change from being the majority to being a minority.
The panelists complained that crimes perpetrated by Muslims get disproportionately high media coverage.
I feel like whenever a Muslim does something like that, it's all over the media. There's so much attention to it. But if a Westerner does the same thing, I don't think it has the same impact.
Iraqi-born Othman Al-Talib said the ratio of crimes committed by U.S. Muslims is low compared to other groups. He said young people are more likely to get radicalized if they spend most of their time alone before the computer.
So I definitely think the message for us should be, let's get our youth out, bring them to the mosques, bring them to Muslim events and organizations, and let them interact with other people.
The new generation of U.S. Muslims also is frustrated by the widespread talk of Islamic radicalization and wants more focus on encouraging young people to express their hopes and plans for the future. Zlatica Hoke, VOA News, Washington.
U.S. First Lady Michelle Obama traveled to Marrakesh, Morocco, on the second leg of her trip to promote the Let Girls Learn initiative, focusing on supporting the education of young women and girls. Actresses Meryl Streep and Frida Pinto are also accompanying Mrs. Obama in Morocco, where the education of young girls was at the top of the agenda. Samia Farouzouki has our report.
It is the first visit from members of the Obama family in the North African country of Morocco. Michelle Obama, her mother, and 2 daughters, Sasha and Malia, arrived to a royal welcome in Marrakesh. Michelle Obama is in Morocco promoting the Let Girls Learn initiative, aimed at overcoming the numerous barriers that young women and girls face in accessing education. Morocco has one of the lowest literacy rates in the region at 67%, according to UNICEF's latest figures, and women in the rural areas face the greatest of these challenges to education. During the visit, a conversation was held with young female Moroccan students in the historic Riyadh-turned-restaurant Dar Diafa, where actresses Meryl Streep and Frida Pinto joined the First Lady. Throughout the conversation, the participants shared their struggles and their aspirations.
I am beyond excited to be here with all of you. I have read so much about you. I know your stories, I know your challenges, but more importantly, I know your triumphs. And I'm so excited to be able to bring a piece of the world here to hear your stories. As you may know, this is the second leg of a 3-country tour that I'm on, and we had an amazing day with a tremendous group of young women. So I'm looking forward to adding your voices to this conversation.
Girls, literally the only reason why I'm here is to learn more from you. I have a passion, and my passion goes beyond what I do for my day job, which is acting and producing and being part of the film world. I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. And that start that I got in 2008 put me on a platform.
One of the highlights of the visit was the announcement of a $100 million investment from the Millennium Challenge Corporation to help build a new model for secondary education in Morocco. USAID also announced it would be pledging $400,000 to fund the construction of 5 new dorms for girls in the rural areas.
Their schools in the villages only go to primary grades, but then when you want to go to secondary school, you have to go to a town. This is very far for many young rural girls, and so by building dorms and providing coaches to help them with academic support, we've given them a safe and secure environment to study.
Representatives from the Peace Corps revealed that Morocco will officially become the newest Let Girls Learn country, where a number of initiatives have been in place to help support the education of young Moroccan women, especially in the remote rural areas. Morocco is the only country in the Middle East and North Africa where the Peace Corps still operates.
I'm so excited. I was so proud of being a part of this event, of the First Lady, Michelle Obama. We had the chance to share our stories and express ourselves.
During the visit, Michelle Obama highlighted how 62 million girls throughout the world have no access to education. The Let Girls Learn initiative has attracted greater attention to the cultural and socioeconomic obstacles young women face in receiving a full education in Morocco, where only 36% of girls go on to complete secondary education. Sami Arazuki for VOA, Marrakesh, Morocco.
Online retailer eBay partners with Mall for Africa to enable U.S. sellers to gain access to Africa's largest consumer markets. And joining us now with more details is Africa 54 business correspondent Jill Malandrino in New York. Hello, Jill.
Hi, some good news outside of Brexit. According to TechCrunch, the partnership will allow the launch of a new eBay powered by Mall for Africa, a dedicated platform. In 2016, sales will begin first in Nigeria, then Kenya, followed by Ghana, with other African countries to follow. The collaboration aims to solve a number of challenges global consumer goods companies face when entering African markets. The unique payment and delivery system will serve as a digital broker and logistics manager between U.S. retailers and African consumers.
Now, Jill, mobile spending demographics looks very attractive in Nigeria as well, right?
Right. So despite its well-known challenges, Nigeria has become a testbed for e-commerce startups attracted to its dual distinction as Africa's most populous country and largest economy. A survey conducted by Ipsos on behalf of PayPal, another mobile payment processor, shows Nigeria is home to some of the savviest mobile shoppers on the continent, and it is also the third largest mobile commerce market globally amongst the countries that participated in the research, just behind China and India. North America is the #1 cross-border online shopping destination for Nigerians. I actually purchased dresses on Amazon.com through Nigerian manufacturers because of the quality and value, and the process is much more seamless than buying direct because of logistics.
Very interesting. Listen, is consumer spending expected to grow long-term in Africa?
The eBay Mall for Africa partnership marks continued outside confidence in Africa's retail markets and the value proposition for African e-commerce. The continent's consumer spending is estimated to exceed $1.4 trillion annually by 2020, and online sales are expected to top $75 billion in 2025, according to McKinsey's Global Institute. As Africa continues to move away from commodity dependency and expand to the more sustainable agribusiness and technology sectors, spending and global commerce will continue to increase.
Great reporting. Thanks so much, Jill. And that was Jill Malandrino, Africa 54 business correspondent, reporting live from New York. Now, we want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. And check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Find me on Twitter at Linor Moudou. Coming up, how African entrepreneurs can help meet the need for new businesses. Stay with us.
News and notes. This is Living Better.
Is your computer hard on your eyes? A company in Taiwan called Intrust has developed an eye massager to help relieve the strain caused by intensive screen use. It looks like a sleeping mask with water pumped to the mask, where it then circulates around each eye to create a massaging sensation. Intrust engineer Eric Chu. He says that when users put on the massager, they feel the water flowing by and a sensation of something gently patting their eyes. It's a relatively complicated device that was crowdfunded by Kickstarter. Experts say there are a variety of steps computer users can do to reduce eye strain. They recommend getting a good eye exam, using a flat panel display, blinking often, and taking breaks from looking at or being at your computer throughout the day. I'm Martin Seacrest for VOA's Living Better.
The recent Entrepreneur Summit in Palo Alto, California brought together entrepreneurs from around the world, trade representatives, policymakers, business executives, and investors to collaborate on ways to expand small and medium businesses globally. VOA's Philip Alexiou talks with Elizabeth Gore, entrepreneur in residence at Dell, about the challenges ahead and how African entrepreneurs can help meet that need.
Elizabeth Gore, you're the entrepreneur in residence for Dell, but you were also, you had the same title when you were with the UN Foundation. Mm-hmm. But that was the first time that they ever had such a title back then.
Yeah, so traditionally, entrepreneur residents were usually in the venture community or actually in the academic community. So in the venture community, maybe they purchased a huge amount of equity and a founder left that company and actually stepped into the venture firm to just sit there for a while until they figured out their next gig. And in the academic community, you could have entrepreneur residents come in and be doing some type of research, generally on technology. But larger organizations, whether that be a government, the UN, a company like Dell that has 100,000 employees, are starting to tap into this idea of, can you bring in a fresh idea or something innovative that is for probably a short period of time, but is very impactful.
And you represent really, I mean, your goal is really to help small business, mm-hmm. by and large, mm-hmm. around the world, right?
That's right, fast growth entrepreneurs. So we really look at those businesses that have the potential to substantially scale.
And it's any business?
Any business, okay. Yes. I mean, we believe that every company now is a technology company. Mm-hmm. So whether you're in fashion, whether you're in biotech, or whether you're building an app, you're going to have a big technology infrastructure, you're going to have security stack, everything that we all need now.
And what is it that is there a block that they have that mm-hmm. they're not crossing over to, that you can bridge that for them?
Well, entrepreneurism is quite unique because when someone comes to an entrepreneur, they usually have a great idea or a product that they've created. But maybe they don't have the bigger vision to think about, okay, what's my IT infrastructure? What's my finance needs? How am I going to scale quickly and have good HR and keep people innovative? An entrepreneur is usually thinking about that product and getting profitable. So that generally can be one of the biggest barriers, is actually to get them to lift up their heads and think about the bigger picture. And I think one of the best ways for them to do that is through strong ecosystems or networks for entrepreneurs. So you're sitting with your peers and understanding what they're going through and building stronger relationships that maybe will help you get bigger faster.
Now, you grew up on a ranch, right?
Sure did.
Okay, so you're used to getting your hands dirty?
Very dirty,
right?
yes.
Now, when you come to these symposiums,
Might be dirty too.
right, there you go. But at some point, do you personally have to go in and get your hands dirty and go in, or wherever, into the neighborhoods of the people and talk to them?
It's actually, that's the favorite part of my job. So everyone teases that I'm the chief listening officer at Dell. So what's really important for, I think, any EIR, but particularly my job, is to actually go to where entrepreneurs are and see what their barriers are, listen to them.
Africa's already jumped. They left the landline. They never even got one.
Yeah, they leapfrogged.
They automatically became wireless, and they all have their phones, and so many people, and it's changed their world. They're conducting business on their phone.
Right. But entrepreneurs, I feel like, particularly on the continent of Africa, and that's a huge generalization, but they're usually starting businesses based on need versus opportunity. So they see a need, and they're going to figure out how to take a business out of that. So let's just use examples: maternal health, waste removal, understanding financial transactions. So normally things that we would see as a government responsibility in this country, entrepreneurs in other countries are looking at as a way to make money and be profitable. I actually think that's quite sustainable and a positive thing. But what do they need to do that is your question. So they absolutely need access to technology. So the understanding they all have cell phones is great, but is there broadband? Is there Wi-Fi? One. Two is what's the energy future of that country? Is there solid access to electricity? We have 1.5 billion people who can't turn on a light switch. So that is critical for any business, is to have consistent access to energy.
Women operate differently in this entrepreneurial world,
Very
right?
different.
I mean, they're the statistic, they're opening businesses much faster than men, and then they're putting the money back into the community and their families. Why does that seem to be different between the two, the men and the women?
Well, women are building businesses twice as fast, but they're also failing 7 times faster, which is unfortunate. You know, I talk about, everyone keeps bringing up the stat that women are only getting 3% of venture capital. Well, there's a million other ways to get capital. Right. But instead of elbowing in there, let's look at other things like SBA loans and crowdfunding and private family wealth capital. So I think we need to just start building different ecosystems. And women do put 90% of their income back in their communities and families. So that's a pretty good bet.
Your inspiration as you move on this endeavor comes from where or who?
For me, the most inspirational people are entrepreneurs that make something out of nothing. And, you know, that can be in a refugee camp. I've seen refugees coming in with nothing but their children, and in 2 weeks they'll have a small business set up, which is amazing. Or you look in this country and there are entrepreneurs trying to end climate change and put a man on Mars and figure out how to better our education. I mean, to me, that is the inspiration. If we help them scale, we're doing a good thing.
Well, you're doing a good thing.
Thank
I know you're very busy and you're all over the country and around the world. Good luck to you in the future. Elizabeth Gore, entrepreneur in residence for Dell.
Thank you so much.
That was VOA's Philippe Alexiou speaking with Elizabeth Gore, who also previously served as the first ever entrepreneur in residence for the UN Foundation. Well, it's now time for a short break. Still to come on Africa 54. Argentina cries out, "Don't go," to soccer legend Lionel Messi. We'll be right back.
If you've just joined us, I'm Mariama Diallo, and here is a quick recap of today's headlines. In Ivory Coast, 35 Ivorian refugees arrive at the Abidjan airport after voluntary repatriation from Guinea. In South Africa, protesters called for the South African Broadcasting Corporation's chief to resign after he banned journalists from showing damage to public buildings during demonstrations. In Egypt, 3 years after President Morsi is ousted, basic freedoms are being suppressed in the name of stability. Finally, in Somalia, lawmakers prepare to elect a new parliament after abandoning its plan to hold a popular vote in 2016 last July. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Africa 54. Here is what's trending. Prince Harry is following in his late mother's footsteps, spearheading the fight against AIDS, kicking off with a fundraising concert for his charity, Santa Bell, in Kensington Palace. The 31-year-old prince has vowed to continue the work Princess Diana started, breaking down stigma towards people with HIV. In the concert's finale, the royal was joined by Santa Bell co-founder Prince Seeiso of Lesotho and a choir from the Southern African Kingdom, accompanied by the rock band Coldplay. Other performers included Josh Stone and spoken word artist George the Poet. Next up, well, Beverly Hills has gone to the dogs in true LA fashion. Dressed to the nines and strutting their stuff, this is Woofstock 90210. Each year, some 300 dogs and more than 5,000 dog lovers come out to join the fun. In Beverly Hills, dogs tend to be well-groomed and, of course, spoiled. At Woofstock, those with added tricks up their spangled collars get to show them off to their peers. Various dog rescue and adoption agencies from around Los Angeles are here hoping that attendees will adopt a needy dog. Alongside the spectacle, there's plenty of treats for owners to buy their pets, from dog clothing and food to dog massage and custom portrait paintings. Woofstock festivals also take place in other parts of the U.S., Canada, and the UK. Makes you want to own a dog. Well, and finally, following soccer legend Lionel Messi's announcement he's retiring from Argentina's national team, well, the mayor of Buenos Aires unveiled a statue in Messi's honor and encouraged Argentinians to flood social media with messages encouraging him to return. But while the hashtag No Te Vayas Leo and Don't Leave Leo has been trending globally, Messi's mind appears to be made up. Millions of his fans and even Argentina's president and legendary forward Diego Maradona have asked him to reconsider. Messi has won 8 La Liga titles and 4 Champions League trophies with Barcelona, but his only major international honor is an Olympic gold medal at the 2008 Games in Beijing. And that's what's trending today. That's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. For more news, tune in to VOA's evening radio show, Africa News Tonight, at 1800 UTC, and in the mornings to Daybreak Africa between 300 and 600 UTC, Monday through Friday. Thanks for watching, and good night from Washington.
Welcome to Voice of America's Newswords. Here is a story about Mexico letting private investors explore for oil.
Analyst.
The Mexican government is projecting $10 to $15 billion a year in investments within a few years, but analysts see technological, environmental, and security problems ahead.
An analyst is an expert in a subject. The word comes from analysis, which means to examine something and to understand it.
Often, reporters talk with analysts to help explain the news.
So the next time you hear the word analysts, you will know what this news word means.
Visit our website, learningenglish.voanews.com, and leave a comment.